Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Bundles, and today's video is going to be all about how to create a podcast for your hair business and how to do so without showing your face. I've gotten some questions about this in the past, just going over, Brittany, hey, how did you start your podcast? How are you able to make money from your podcast? How are you able to spread the word and get guests and, questions like that. So I'm here today to give you all of the information that you need to know to start your podcast. And guess what? You're not going to need a lot to do so. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the video. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Please make sure that you are subscribed, and let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is how to make the Faceless podcast. So I've had my podcast for I think like 4 years at this point. And I initially started off by recording on Anchor. Anchor is no longer an app. They went out, I don't know if they... I think they just, I was going to say, I don't know if they rebranded or just went out of business, but a couple years ago, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, Anchor was no longer an option. And so I had to find a different place to host my podcast. But when I initially started, I started recording right from my phone. I didn't have any fancy earphones. I didn't have like any fancy equipment. Like I still record from my phone to this day. What I do though is I've found that it makes your sound a lot crisper if you record in like a padded room. So I would record in my closet because it was just me and my clothes, and it just produced a better, clearer sound. But there's also different microphones that you can purchase on Amazon. I'm actually thinking of purchasing one for my podcast too. But just try to play around with the sound and see what works best. Some people use their earphones. I tried recording with my AirPods in, and it just created like a spacey sound. I tried recording in my car, and then you could pick up on like the outside noise. Like if a dog walked past and barked, you could hear that. If kids were outside playing, like it just picked up on every small noise. It works okay for some podcasts if you're looking to have like that background noise and kind of like intertwine it. Because some people have like background noises going on in their podcast, and it sounds intentional and it sounds really cool. That wasn't my intention at all. So I didn't like that. So to get a crisp sound, all I do is go into like a closet and I record. I record just through my cell phone, and then I edit with iMovie. And then I go ahead and I convert it to an MP3 file by using an MP3 app. The app is literally called MP3 Converter. And this is what it looks like. Is it on this phone? I'll put a picture of it on the screen because I don't want to take too much time trying to find it. So that's what I use, and it works very seamlessly. So another thing I want to touch on is where you can upload your podcast to. Like I mentioned, I was uploading through Anchor, and Anchor was really cool because it shot your podcast out to like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just a lot of different platforms without you having to go there and manually upload to each platform. So I enjoy doing that. But you can also upload on YouTube. Like YouTube has a podcast section. So you can create your channel, create content on your channel, and then you can have a separate spot for your podcast. I recommend doing that, having your podcast uploaded on as many channels as you can. It's going to help spread the word about what you're doing, give you more exposure, and also help with monetization or different opportunities to make money. Now, if you're wanting to know where you can record your podcast, like I mentioned, closet spaces are really good. Any padded rooms. If you want to go outside and have like a really good noise canceling like a microphone or headset, that would work too. And then for the background, if you don't want your face showing, you can become creative and you can use different like Canva images that you created, which is what I do. Like I go on Canva, I create the image for my podcast, and then I upload it to iMovie, and I just do like I copy my voice, the pre-recorded recording, like over the Canva image. So when you're listening to my podcast, you hear everything I'm saying, and then you see the Canva image that I created. Some people go out and they film like, they just film, like they create a video and then they put their voice over the video. Some people actually create a digital video and then they put their voice over the video. So these are all ways that you can get your video uploaded without showing your face. You just have to be creative. You don't necessarily have to sit down in front of a camera and record. Your message is strong enough, but you still want some type of image so that it's just not a black screen. Or some people even upload as a black screen and they use that as a selling point to get more clicks because some people don't want to. Some people enjoy just having a black screen. Some people enjoy like listening to podcasts at night, just having a black screen on their phone. And some people say it's soothing. Some people even just, and prefer a black screen when they're listening to rain. There's so many different black screen uploads too. So that's something that you can consider, and just playing your voice, over top of the black screen or the black image that you found. The next thing that I want to talk about is guests and content. So a lot of people ask, how did you get guests on your podcast? And really, it's not too challenging, because people are wanting to talk about their business, their brand. They're wanting to share the word about what they're offering. And so you just have to be in position where you are able to connect with people that are interested in sharing their story, which isn't hard to do if you are positioning yourself as a partner in the community, a partner in your niche. Now, what I mean by that is online, just, making sure that you're including in your post. Like for me, I would put hair business coach. I would put like mentor, and I would put different type of words to let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like I want to help other people do what I'm doing. So I started offering like consultations, and then people that would like join drop shipping, or were interested in like purchasing my ebook, or reaching out and asking questions about how to sell hair more efficiently, I asked them to come onto the podcast. Also, different people that I knew from like personal interaction. I created a salon here in my hometown about, I think 6, maybe 7 years ago at this point. A long time ago. It seems like a long time, but some years ago. And I would have people that would stop in, and I would take advantage of those conversations and let them know, hey, I can promote what you're doing by collaborating with you, and, you getting on my podcast, and just telling my listeners what you offer, where you're at, how they can take advantage of some of the services that you are offering. So I did like a interview with people that were licensed stylists. I did an interview going over how to start a mobile beauty business from an expert in the industry. I did different interviews with entrepreneurs that are selling like fragrances, different entrepreneurs that are selling like Mary Kay. And I just started opening the floor to people that were interested in telling their story. So I don't think it's too hard to get people to come onto your podcast if you're interested in connecting with people and just using your platform to really help others grow as well, because that's really what it's about. There's power in numbers when you can collaborate and bring your supporters with another person's supporters. That's going to spread the word even faster, in my opinion. So just asking people to become guests. If you know someone that you want to interview, reach out to them via email, send them a text message, send them a DM. Just, reach out to people and ask if they're interested in, talking about their story. And a lot of people are going to be okay, doing that. And then also you yourself, you go out and you start getting on different podcasts, share the word about the podcast that you're offering, promote it. Even if you think no one's watching, still post. I post all the time. I don't care if I get 1 like or 100 likes, I'm going to post. Because I want people to know what I'm doing. And whether people click the like button or not, people are still seeing that I'm active. They're still seeing what I'm doing. And it just brings more credibility behind your name. And so it makes it easier for people to want to be a part of what you're doing when you are able to show that credibility. And then also going on different podcasts, it can give you some ideas and inspiration on how you may want to structure your podcast too. I remember going to a podcast show in Detroit, and they did it so great. Like I remember just being so in awe about how they set up the podcast and the different questions that they asked and how conversational their podcast felt. And so I wanted to bring that to my podcast too. I wanted my guests to feel at home, even though we were virtual, like I didn't have a studio like they had. I still wanted people to feel at home. And so I started thinking of ways that I can make the podcast more homey feeling. Like, what kind of questions did I want to ask? And do I want to share the questions with my guests ahead of time? And I found that worked like really seamlessly, just kind of connecting with them before the show and going over how it works and just seeing if there was anything that they were maybe hesitant or nervous about that I can kind of smooth over just to have a more smooth show. And, the first couple times that I recorded, I tried a couple different platforms, and I decided to go with Zoom because Zoom was just easier to record. Kind of found out as I was going on that you have to be upgraded to a certain Zoom plan, or at least you did at that point in order to record your Zoom sessions. And it wasn't always clear because we're not in the same area. So sometimes the guest their sounds would be a lot clearer than mine. Sometimes mine will be a lot clearer than the guest. So kind of figuring out how to edit to make the podcast as clear as it can be, figuring out if you want to add music to it, if you don't. So pretty much getting guests is pretty fun, but then also you're going to have to consider creating content too for when guests are not available to come on your show. Or when you want to take your show in a different direction and share information that's coming from your experiences where there's no guests that would be needed at that time. So those are some things to consider when you are creating a podcast. And again, you don't have to show your face. You don't have to show your face on Zoom. Most times I didn't show my face on Zoom. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is monetization. So each platform is going to have a different monetization criteria or like requirement that you're going to need to reach in order to get paid through their ads. Now with Anchor, I don't think they had any they didn't have any minimum like listener or follower requirement. Anchor was great. They didn't have that, so you could just get paid per listens. Or I think, no, if you recorded a certain like verbiage in the beginning of your Spotify, like your podcast, then you could just you could be monetized. And so I got paid off of my Anchor. It was a decent amount of money. And then with Spotify, now that Anchor is no longer there, with Spotify, they have a different monetization requirement. I'm sure Apple Podcasts, or is it Apple Podcasts? I always get Apple Podcasts and Apple Music mixed up, but they all have different requirements. Even YouTube has like a different monetization requirement, to become monetized on YouTube. But even before you're monetized, you can start getting paid with your podcast. So like I mentioned, inviting guests, this is an advertising opportunity. The more followers and the more exposure you get with your podcast, the more you can essentially charge for like advertising opportunities. So when you get started initially, you might want to start getting like, people listen. You might want to start getting exposure and people listening by doing a lot of like free interviews. It's a way for you to build up your platform, your listeners, your credibility, and also a way for the other entrepreneur to shed light on their business. But once you start getting momentum, you can charge for advertising. People will pay to be featured on your podcast. People will pay to be featured on like a radio station. They'll pay to be featured on a billboard. So you can start paying for that. Not even just people that you're interviewing, but also like different companies. People will also pay to sponsor episodes. So like you can say for X amount of dollars, you'll be able to sponsor this podcast episode. And during the sponsor, we shout out your company's name, the website, a product, a discount code, and things like that. For people that don't want to necessarily be interviewed on the podcast, but they want to like sponsor and have their products or services be shared with your listeners. So that's a way to make money by positioning yourself to charge for advertising and sponsorship opportunities. Also, you can start sharing information about your business too. And if you're like offering a book club, for example, you talk about that on your podcast. If you're offering an ebook, you talk about that on your podcast. Whatever you're doing, you share that on your podcast too. A lot of times with some kind of discount code or some incentive for your listeners to get like perks or exclusive inside perks or discounts by joining. But it's another way to put your products out there. I know some people have asked like, hey, isn't it the same people that are listening to my YouTube, listening to my podcast? Not necessarily. Sometimes yes, but sometimes you're going to get more than likely, you're going to have people that are subscribed more so to your YouTube and people that subscribe more so to your podcast. So you're going to have people that support both, but you're going to get some listeners that only listen to you on your podcast and they don't follow you on YouTube. So it's a good way to spread your brand and to get in front of different people and to network and to make money. And like I said, you can do all of this without showing your face. Not one of these scenarios needed a face. The only thing that I could think of that may be a little tricky is just like promotion. But not even, there's ways that you can promote without showing your face. I'm just so used to getting on camera and showing my face because I've been doing it for years. But there's ways that you can still promote your podcast without showing your face. You can still leave like snippets and clips of your podcast on your Instagram. You can still post different, clips from your Canva that you created and that you upload on your video. You can still post, clips of those. You can still post segments of those clips on your like TikTok and Instagram and your Facebook. So there's ways that you can promote. You just have to get really creative, but you can definitely make a successful podcast without showing your face and without really high-tech equipment. Just use what you have. And a lot of times, which is really, interesting, people will cling to podcasts that may not even be high in production. A lot of times they just want real raw information. And if you're going to be consistent, if you're going to give them real raw information, if you're going to have valuable insight, credible guests on your podcast, people are going to listen whether you have a $200 mic or no mic at all. So always strive to be your best. Always strive to continue to upgrade your equipment and provide a better experience for your audience. But in the meantime, do use what you can use. Sometimes I've tried to use different editing software and I'm like, you know what? It frustrates me so much with some editing software that I'm like, look, if I have to edit like this, I might as well just not record because it takes the fun. It just makes me not want to do it at all. So just use what you feel comfortable using, and people are going to pick up on your comfortability. They're going to pick up on your insight. Like I said, they're going to get interested in what you have to say. Like I said, you don't have to have, I just want to put that out there. You don't have to have, like I said, super fancy equipment or anything like that. You just have to be consistent. You just have to be able to share information that other people want to listen to. That's really what it boils down to, face or not. So I really hope this video helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down below or leave them down below. Thanks for tuning in. And don't leave this video without clicking that subscribe button. I know you almost forgot. It's okay. It's okay. We're all human, but I'm glad I caught you. Let's just go ahead and click subscribe. Let's join this family, this community. And I hope to see you for the next video. Talk to you all soon. Bye. For entrepreneurs interested in connecting on a deeper level, be sure to check out my book club on Patreon.